So everybody want to know how I keep whipping up everything so fast while being a CEO and a full-time artist. I'm sitting here trying to tell you that. It's Terrence, man. Super duper big. Okay, so now that I'm gaining that consistent point of view of like the process and the work from you. When do you you mentioned the word content, so like I want to formulate this question from radio to content. Like, how do you discern or consider like what process you go into creating it? Because like you talk about the creative process, it's like that we've at least named I think 3 or 4 forms of media here. Yeah. So for like you speak about it fluently and I'm following you, but as I'm hearing it from someone else, I'm like, how? People ask me all the time, how are you putting out so much content? Yeah. So I want to hear it. I want to hear it from someone else. Like, what is your creative process with putting out content? Because to me, it doesn't feel like a lot. Like you said, I'm in my working process. Mm-hmm. I want to communicate my point of view and my interests and what I think can add value and impact people. So when that feeling or that moment that I feel is impactful comes, I just open my phone and I do the thing.
But I think that also comes with, with understanding what time we live in, right? We live in a time of like algorithms. We live in a time where having your own website is owning the content. So you really want to push people to your website versus dropping the full content on like the social platforms or whatever. But you want to make sure you give them enough teaser that will make them want to click the link in your bio. So you have to really know your audience, engage with your audience enough to know when they're going to engage back with you. So for example, like if I'm at the Roots Picnic and I know that my audience is engaged with me at the Roots Picnic, I'm not going to wait 2 weeks to drop my Roots Picnic. Okay. I'm on that production tonight. You know what I mean? But if I'm at the press conference for a councilwoman or a councilman and I did like a 7-minute interview, I'm taking my time with that production because you want to make sure that people are getting the news and information that could actually help them in that zip code or whatever, representation that city councilman has over them, right? So it really comes down to what you're creating and knowing what your audience is engaging with at that time. Like, for example, I hold on to interviews. Like, I have a Talib Kweli interview that I've been holding on to for months now. I interviewed him back in March, but I just knew it wasn't the time to drop that yet. You know what I mean? So I'm like, how can I get somebody to sit down and listen to a 50 years of hip-hop rendition with me and Talib Kweli talking about his, time with Dave Chappelle and not Mos Def. I don't want to say his name incorrect.
Right.
Dang, I'm so sorry.
What's Mos Def's not new name, but his
Yasin Bey. Thank you so much, and all love to you. Promise, my guy. So yeah, like I want to know, like, when can my audience between the ages of mid-20s and early 40s, how can they engage with this interview? Me dropping it on a Wednesday, are they going to sit down and watch this 10-minute interview? So it's like, I don't want to release something that can be so pivotal for the hip hop community just because I'm excited. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So it's really based on how you want to utilize the content that you are able to produce, and that's why we call ourselves a media production company at this point, because we are producing content that is on a production scale that can actually help or impact or influence. So once you know that responsibility, you have to be accountable for that. And if I'm accountable for that, I'm going to take ownership in anything that I put out. So I want to make sure that everything is right time, right place, with some intention behind it.
That's what it started making me feel like when the word curator started becoming it started feeling like a responsibility. Mm-hmm. As you were speaking, because I do that, like what you said, that was very clear and concise. Like, how does this impact and add value to the person who's going to view it? Or be a part of it.
It's not about me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's
I'm just
exactly
saying, I was on a celebrity. Like, if that's what you're making content for, that's what you make. I'm not an influencer. I don't make content that's not what I'm doing. So yeah, I'm not a hyper person in that regard, I should say.
Yeah. And because I think like with like that particular segment that you have with Talib.
And there's a difference, and I don't mean to cut you off because I want people to know there's a difference from having influence and being an influencer. It's a huge difference. Martin Luther King had influence. No offense, but like Snooki, she's an influencer. Yeah. She is not.
Is she still? I didn't know that.
Well, no,
still...
I'm just saying, like, that's how she started. She started saying, I'm an influencer.
Right.
Martin Luther King has done the work to influence people. You know, like, it's just a big difference. Like, when you have to say it versus what you're doing, like your actions. So, yeah, I'm not an influencer.
And I mean, that's why I was like, for me, it seems that's the regular way to go about it.
Damn sure was not comparing Snooki to Martin Luther King. You know,
we
be on podcasts like, what the hell? She was like,
right,
that was not. I was just trying to break down the compatibility between
the definition,
an influencer and someone who has influence. Yes, I just want to make sure, bro, because you know some people be wide open with it. And I ain't got time.
Because that's why I wanted to talk to you about. Because 6 years ago. You started Revive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I had just gotten here, so that's why, like, for me, when I was introduced to it, you already ran it with like very established professionalism and quality of the things. So, where did you learn how to come like that? Right? Because for me, I'm gonna be frank. Like, I'm from the trenches, so like everything I do is like I'm learning. I'm what do they call? I'm learning and earning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm earning and I'm learning at the same time. So it's like where how do you create moments?
For a very long time, I would say, even now, I'm self-taught. I'm a sponge. I definitely make a point with intention to get into rooms and be a fly on the wall, you know, so I can soak up as much knowledge as I can. I'm the youngest of 4 siblings, so I take all advantage of being the youngest and ask every question I can to each individual sibling to gain some knowledge there. My middle sister, she's actually my business partner, and she has helped me through so many different, times of turmoil as far as not understanding and things I need to know. Shout out to YouTube University. I'm a humble graduate of YouTube University, and I still attend some classes time to time. You know what I mean? But yeah, so when it comes down to keeping the stability and the lights on and the bricks together at Revive, it is something that I have done through blood, sweat, and tears. You know what I mean? And when I look at whiteboards, I get triggered because it just be me in a room and a whiteboard sometimes, you know what I mean? But that was something that actually fueled me more than put my fire out. So I appreciate the moments that I look around and I see other people in the room, because it was moments when it was just me. But then I also value times where I am doing production on my own, because it gives me that humbling space and grace to know, like, yo, you still gotta do some more work, bro. You still gotta do some more work. So it's cool. You know what I mean? It comes from just passion, love, and drive, for sure.
And part of my story was like, before I got up here, like I said, I was in the streets a lot, and somebody came in my crib and they had shot me. I didn't get hit, but they had shot me at my bedside. And
in Virginia?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so between that and I had 2 pending cases.
I'm glad
where
that you're here. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I had gotten lawfully detained at a mall for smelling like marijuana.
You were in Virginia. That's not.
Yeah, it's not uncommon.
It's
regular day in VA. You know.
July 1st, it has become medicinal in the state of Maryland. Handle your business.
Yeah, finish. That was very traumatic for me. It took me a lot to find myself, find like my esteem and all of that stuff through that, because they was trying me like an adult. It was getting ugly. So the reason I was saying that was
from one Commonwealth state to another.
Oh my gosh, man! So I'm like, I don't be knowing these things until like you be there, and it's like Pennsylvania was a state before Virginia was a state. It's like, oh my god! All right, that's I didn't know.
Cousins.
You feel me? Yeah. So VA to PA really started being a thing for me, right? Because that's my music project. But the initial point was like, when I got out of that situation.
Called PA to VA.
That's my other album name. So you were on time.
Yeah, we went to the HBC tour from Cheney University, Virginia State, to get to their homecoming.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was an amazing time.
How many other places what other places you hit it in between?
In Virginia?
No, I'm saying from PA to VA, or you just
their trip was just
that's even more intentional. That's literally PA to VA. You know what I mean? So
757.
A lot of those things that happened to me earlier on, like pushed me. It like ejected me out of Virginia. I mean, I was going through so much. I had got pistol whipped up the street. Like it was like get out, go away, right? So I got out, and so when I got here,
what part of Virginia?
Newport News.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Obviously. My bad. I got you.
They'd be like, when I got here, I didn't even know what mental health was. I didn't know what trauma was. I didn't know it. No, I was just coming out the streets, and I came up here with my mans because I wanted to help him monetize his already established brand and music career. I'm like, all right, this is safe, right? I'm just want to be safe. You feel me? And so once I started recognizing my interests, my powers, my things that I was passionate about outside of just the things that I was doing initially, it started putting me in spaces where I would meet other creative people who had passions and interests as well. And now, 6 years later, I got into a space where I'm like, what you just said, I know a lot. I'm always much more, I'm always much more intrigued with learning more.
Of course.
And so in the creative space, because I want to switch gears a little bit too, is like the creative space, like you said, keeping things afloat, keeping the lights on, the business side, the branding side, the content side. I feel like that's the chasm. That's the gap. It's like you love what you do, and then there's doing it consistently and then like maintaining it. So what are some of what are the things that you encountered that were a part of this brand development, content, that like your business, that's what I'm gonna call it, your business development? Like what were some of the things you ran into that you didn't expect really, like coming along with that?
Internally, it becoming bigger than who I am as a whole person. Understanding that and letting that go and flow. On the external factor, comes with a lot of headaches because I'm independent and I enjoy collaborations and partnerships. Collaborations and partnerships have helped with our fortitude of, thriving and surviving. So sometimes partnerships and collaborations don't necessarily go as planned, and it's not always 50-50 as far as energy, ethic, and effort. So shout out to the 3 E's. But yeah, so that's a big piece. So I'm learning that in so many different ways, because it's many different ways to learn how collaborations and partnerships don't necessarily work out. But I encourage them, I encourage them from a small start to being on a big level, however you feel like you've made it. And I don't say give up on those things, because it's always collaboration over competition. But that was just something that I had to learn I would say in a very hard way. But then at the same time, I would say something that I didn't know that was gonna come with this space is a lot of separation from my family. A lot of separation from my own personal life and things that I want to do just for myself. Sometimes that I have to put the business and the brand before that, and that goes back to me learning that this is bigger than me and being able to do that flow and grow peace.
So your family not up here?
No, I'm from DC.
No, I'm on the same type time. My folks don't live up here neither. I just didn't know that about you. So it's like it's always like yeah, but then it's like I'm always endearing to that because I know what that feeling is like. So that's why.
Because and I would never change my predicament or my environment to do such, because I'm blessed to be able to do what I do every day, right? But like, if you were closer to home and you had a gig on a Saturday, you can still make it to that family cookout, or you can still make it to that dinner because you're only 15-20 minutes away, versus having a gig on that Saturday and you're 2.5-3 hours away. You ain't making it nowhere. So like those type of things, so being able to just let that flow, but then also hear the stood example or statement of my excuse of work is no longer an excuse. You know what I'm saying? So
we was just in our meeting talking about that.
Yeah.
You could clip it for me again?